Hi Dulquer, this is so amazing uh, to talk to you in person. It's a dream come true.
Thank
I've
you.
been following your career since you started, especially since I'm not a
Thank
native
you very much.
Malayalam or Tamil speaker. So I've kind of gotten into South films pretty recently, but I've seen Bangalore Days and Ustad Hotel, and absolutely big fan of your work.
Thank you. Thank you. Super kind of you. Thank you.
Yeah. Let me take this like 2 minutes to introduce myself. My name is Ria, and I work for a company called LetsOTT, which is essentially a digital platform which only covers movies and series that come on
Yeah.
online on OTT networks in India and abroad. And I really wanted to talk to you about your movies, but everybody seems to be talking about your
Excellent.
curls since the morning. Everybody seems, which is good for me because I also have curls. So, so it's good for us curly haired people.
Yeah. The girls, high five. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but a very belated happy Onam to you, and thank you for giving your fans the gift of
Thank you.
Leia Shogun. The fans seem to be really loving the film.
Thank you so
A
much.
lot of positive buzz on social media. So, did you get a lot of good feedback?
Yeah. 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 I'll get all kinds of feedback because of just, when you are kind of, once you're an actor, I feel like there'll always be some percentage of the audience that always trying to bring you down. But
Yeah.
it's been, almost unanimously loved and almost entirely positive messages.
Mm.
And I think it resonates with a certain part of the audience, which especially families and especially just women or people who have that nostalgia of what Kerala used to be like or
Yeah.
what we grew up on.
Mm.
That small town sort of innocence and small town experiences and those kind of people, just the goodness that comes out of uh, being in a small interior part of Kerala where everybody knows everybody.
Right.
So we all grew up on movies like that, and I think what attracted me to the film was that I wanted to kind of just remember those movies and those times.
Yeah, a lot of people were saying online that it's a feel good, it's a sensitive film, but it reminded them of the films of the 80s in Malayalam
Absolutely,
movies of the
yeah,
80s. So, and a lot of people had a similar feedback for your last production in which you were there as well, uh,
yes,
which made your debut as a producer, which came out earlier this year.
right.
So, is that the kind of ethos that Wayfarer is embodying right now? Like small
Not
films.
at all. I mean, it's not. It's, I don't want to say we are limiting ourselves to a certain kind of cinema,
Yeah.
but I definitely don't want it to only be this very sort of new age or kind of cinema, which I know there's a big audience for, but I feel like there is a massive audience for just the kind of stuff that we miss, you know.
Right.
So I want to cover all of it. Ideally, I want to do small films and family films and big films and all of it. And I want it to be something that me and my team can contribute to, can put together, can
Mm-hmm.
bring out. I have big hopes for this company, and these are the films I felt like we should start with. It's almost
Right.
like a sort of thank you. When we did Money Earlier, it was we launched five or six departments of newcomers,
Mm. Yeah.
music director. Everybody was new on this movie.
Yeah. Right.
And when we did Varane, it felt like so many actors of sort of all the defining moments of my childhood or the films I grew up watching. So many
Right.
actors made a comeback in that film,
Yeah.
or were acting after a gap.
Yeah.
So I feel like that is also like sort of respect, a rite of passage for me. So I feel like I've got the respect of all my seniors. I've got some respect from newcomers, and
Yeah.
we can continue like that. But it gives me great joy just to be a part of these kind of movies.
You said something really wonderful because you mentioned, how newcomers, there are so many newcomers in this movie. And with Varane also,
Yeah,
it was the directorial debut of the director. So
Yeah.
is also one of the reasons why you started this company is to give voices to people or to give avenues to people who are just starting out in the industry. Is that also something that you're thinking about?
Yeah. Absolutely. That because that's how I started.
Yeah,
My first film was almost entirely newcomers.
yeah,
So some people took a chance on me, and then all of us freshers kind of learned together, made mistakes together, and I've made some lasting bonds from that first film that have lasted me to now. Like there are people from my first film on Manila Shogun,
yeah.
So I want that to continue, and I want to be a part of many more beginnings. People start into cinema. At the same time, I want to respect uh, just all of our seniors and elders who have kind of created this with which we had an opportunity to build on something. I think it works. I want to extend to both ends of the spectrum.
Varane kind of found a new lease on life because it was on Netflix pretty quickly after it released, especially
Yes,
because it came out in February and then the lockdown started in March. And then
yes,
Maria Relay is completely like it's a digital release, it's a digital premiere.
yeah.
Like, what do you think about this media industry evolving now, trying to make its peace with the fact that right now we are in this situation, and even the big films, unfortunately, will see the light of day online. As a producer, what is your thought about that?
See, I essentially think it's amazing what the OTT networks like especially like Netflix are doing, because just the kind of reach that they have is amazing, and we will every single producer will partner with them,
Right.
irrespective.
Yeah.
Ideally, we want to have our theatrical release, we want to have that buzz, we want to have that theatrical experience, but then eventually everybody also wants to have that sort of, maybe a lot of things you miss in the theaters with the noise and the excitement. Sometimes you need a second viewing of a film.
Hmm.
So that whole Netflix experience is like that, and the fact that you can share it with, it's not limited to, hey, this movie just came out, it's awesome, I watched it, or your friend has to wait a certain amount of time for it to come out in cinemas near him.
Yeah.
Uh, this you can all probably share it at the same time.
Hmm.
So that's been amazing, and I'm very certain technology and consumers will decide uh, how content is consumed, and as content creators or providers, we will have to uh, always. I just love the fact that we have avenues like this.
Yeah.
The fact that if there wasn't, say, a Netflix or an OTT platform, uh, uh, we might not have had a chance to put out a film now in this lockdown.
Right.
You know, so in that sense, I feel like it's definitely a lease of life on the industry. There's some movement that's happening. We're not just completely shut down. So same, I mean, same respect to television and satellite providers,
Right.
but it's too, it'll be it's not something where you can claim, hey, one will take over the other, or it'll become only standalone sort of way to consume cinema. But I think we need all of it for the entire experience. But
So
but more than anything, I feel like, sorry to interrupt you, but like
no, no.
I feel like a certain type of cinema now has the confidence of OTT.
Hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
there are certain kinds of cinema which we have to always think, hey, will this work theatrical? Hey, will this be saleable, or like will it be entertaining for a theatrical audience?
Right.
But maybe it's just a very different kind of story you want to tell, and you want to have a certain specific kind of audience for it. So I think in that sense, a Netflix or OTT networks are giving you that freedom to kind of explore those stories and tell what you want without having to worry about how the experience will be in a crowd.
So, do you think you now have courage as a producer to also make films just exclusively with the thought that this will directly go to an online platform? I'm not even thinking of a theatrical release for this
Absolutely. See, like now when I say I want to make small films, I want to make family films or medium films, I want to make large commercial films. I want to be a good sort of content creator and a consistent one.
Right.
So I definitely am very open to partnerships with like Netflix, even from a very sort of creative, initial stage. Hey, if there's, but sometimes I'm curious about documentaries. Sometimes I'm curious about, um, there are some interesting stories you hear about urban legends and things like that,
Yeah.
which seem to be getting made internationally.
Yeah.
And India is this vast sort of landscape where there must be so many of these untold stories, which might make
Yeah.
for maybe 4 or 5 episodes, or just interesting content like that. So I'm very open to all of that.
And these films definitely they also cross a language barrier, because especially for people like me, or for instance for a very vast majority of the audience which does not speak a specific language, then they don't really have to,
Yeah,
that barrier isn't there to kind of like, we can just switch it on, put on
absolutely.
subtitles and watch the film. I watched the film with subtitles yesterday and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
So yeah, so that must be one thing
this is
to.
very very ironically, yeah, and ironically when I first began in my career,
Hmm.
now I've been a bit of a sort of uh, global, citizen in the sense, I'm born in Kerala. I grew up in Chennai. I finished my schooling there. Did my college in America. I worked in the Middle East. I lived in Bombay. So
Yeah.
because of all of this, I have always consumed local content wherever I've gone.
Hmm.
You know. So and I was like, the most amazing thing about India is this diversity that we have,
Yeah.
and the many languages we speak, and many stories we tell, and very different industries. So I used to keep asking directors, whoever I meet, whether it's Malayalam, whichever language, I'm like, why don't we, put out English or whatever is a common language, whether even if it's Hindi for the northern markets, or like, it's a bit tricky, I guess, but whatever. But maybe English subtitles all over, and just introduce our cinema to each other. you
Hmm.
know,
Yeah.
it was something I was very curious about, but now it has happened very organically.
Yeah.
Uh, Funnily, it almost seems new, but we're all of the same country, and same regions, and we all speak similar languages. But the fact that we're kind of discovering each other through these platforms is something amazing. I'm
Yeah.
sure for future generations it'll be the norm. It'll be the most normal thing on the planet.
Yeah. I.
But we are kind of experiencing this beautiful transition that's happening.
Yeah. True. For your fans were very disappointed. I mean, they were very happy to see you in a cameo in the film, but they were very
Yeah,
disappointed that it was very short. It was only 3-4 minutes. So
I personally didn't even want to do any because it shouldn't be that every film that I produce I
that
kind
you're
of
making a
make an
little
appearance.
appearance
I didn't
somewhere.
want
Huh?
it to be like that.
Yeah,
And
but it was very enjoyable then, nonetheless.
sorry. Yeah, I mean that
Uh,
shouldn't become a thing, right? Like it shouldn't
yeah.
be that every film I produce, right, I keep walking through it. No, just a walkthrough might be interesting. Like I'm just carrying something in the background or something.
like a background dancer or like a junior artist type.
Yeah, that'll be funny. Like suddenly you're like, hey, was that? Yeah, that'll be interesting.
Like an Easter egg,
But
isn't
again, I mean, like an Easter egg,
it?
absolutely.
Yeah. But
But
do we get to?
I
I mean,
mean, makers very sweetly, they were like, hey, can you do this small role?
yeah.
And they just wanted me to do a little bit of a cameo, just out of excitement. I think
Hmm. Yeah.
they were like, when you're producing this film, it'd be really nice if you could do. So I was kind of like cringing the first 10 minutes of the film because it's uh, a lot of mention of me, my production, this that the movie begins, and then it starts with kind of my narration, and then it starts with my singing, and I was just
Yeah.
like, oh my god, this is like an
Right.
overdose of me. I can't handle it.
Right.
I think as an actor, like I can't consume so much of myself.
It's true. We can consume as much of you, I mean, as possible. So that's why I was asking.
Thank you.
Is you have 2 films in the pipeline, but do we get to see you in a web series by any chance anytime soon? Like, is that something that you would want to consider?
There have been kind of inquiries and stuff,
Hmm.
and it's definitely something I'm open to because I feel like there are some films or some not films or some ideas that need to be explored beyond this 2.5 3 hour limit that we give ourselves.
Yeah.
Sometimes it'll be interesting if you can tell a story over 5 hours or 7 hours. So 7 episodes, 10 episodes.
Yeah.
It's something I've genuinely been curious about, and it's something that I definitely want to explore. But right now, I'm just trying to be fair to all of my makers that I've committed my dates to pre-COVID. So I want to kind of not let them down, and I've kind of promised everyone I will work in the exact same order as I committed. Once obviously work resumes.
Yeah. So,
But
is there any
there are
chance?
definitely ideas that I would like to explore. There are some directors that I speak to where I'm like, hey, can we maybe explore this over, a multiple episodical sort of,
Okay.
just as a storytelling experiment.
Right. But are we? Have you started? Like, is there a possibility that you'll start filming for Kurup and your next film soon? I mean, I think.
Kurup is completed in
Okay.
terms of shoot and stuff.
Yeah.
But I've started choreographer Brinda Master's film in Tamil,
Right.
and so that we break in March. So that'll be what I get back to.
Okay. Great. Thank you so much for your time. It was a
Thank you,
pleasure
Arushi.
to talk to you. I hope I get to talk to you soon when your next film, I mean, comes onto an OTT platform. Unfortunately, that's the only way I'll
For
get to
sure,
speak to you.
for sure.
In the meantime, I hope everybody, all of your fans, watch Maniyarele Ashogan on Netflix and Varane Avashamunda on Netflix as well.
Yeah,
And in the meantime, if everyone could please like, share, and subscribe the content to Let's OTT. We are on Facebook, we are on Twitter, and we are on Instagram.
so
And
everybody
please
check out
follow.
Let's OTT.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. And please follow Dulquer on Instagram. His Instagram is amazing, and he's rocking some curls and like. Great. Thank you so
Thank you,
much for
Ria.
your time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Lots of love. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Ria.
Thank you, Arushi. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Guys,
Not at all. Thank you.